presenting a product to me in a certain way, and then it turns out not to be that's nice. Because you already know that it's not.
Okay, so people have a certain standard, and if something falls short of that standard,
Then it's not an excellence on your part. Because
Okay.
you could do better with that.
you can do better. Okay, so the opposite term for excellence would be mediocrity, mediocre. Okay, good. Let's talk about God's definition of excellence, which is totally different because what you all provided was good, but that's how the world looks at things. When you talk about things like marketing, they spend millions of dollars in how to manipulate people to buy their product. Now, from a spiritual perspective, I call that witchcraft. Because what you're doing is you're trying to cause people to do something that you're bending their will to yours. Whereas,
That's good.
it is. Whereas, from God's perspective, excellence is being who you're created to be. Now, we can use the analogy of a product. You have a blueprint or a design that has been created, okay? And then as you, I tell you what, would you mind sharing about your product?
The stairway?
Mm-hmm. The steps it went through?
Sure. What part of it?
Everything from the concept to the prototype, because that's where pretty much where you are right now, right?
Licensing.
Okay.
So I had a dream about
He speaks to us many ways.
I had a dream about a product. I'm a self-proclaimed germophobic, so some things give me the willies. So I do makeup in workshops where I'm using my brushes on a lot of women, and you never can really clean the brush so that you can reuse it, in a sanitary fashion. And so God gave me a dream for an invention as a mechanism for quickly drying and sterilizing the brushes once you wash them. And he gave me the name for it. And so I went out and did research on how to invent something because I never invented anything. And he brought a particular design house to my attention, so I went through all the steps to secure my idea and present it to them. They accepted it, so I paid on it for like 4.5 years because it was expensive. But when I got to what God determined was the end of this thing, he just started bringing people to my doorstep with money. Literally, because I was trying to find investors for 4 years, and nobody really was, people were like, let me know how that works out for you, basically. But he told me that 2011 was the last year for me to pay on it, so he spoke to somebody and they gave me a lump sum of money. And then last year I had needed to get myself in a position where I could actually market it and everything. And so he brought an opportunity to my doorsteps to become a part of a global social shopping network. And then somebody sold another several $1,000s to me to get all my products that I needed for that. And then, so now I'm at a place where the prototype is done, the commercial is done, and I'm just waiting for an organization to approve it for licensure.
As it is in the natural, so it is in the spirit. God had a purpose, something that was already established in heaven. He downloaded it into her and gave her the idea. The idea birthed into a design, this blueprints and the specification of how this thing was supposed to function. Somebody helped her to design it, and then they designed the prototype. And from the prototype, it will be multiplied. Now, think of it in terms from a kingdom perspective. He does the same thing with us. He had an idea in heaven of who we were, what our purpose is. He created that here in the earth. And based on that was the purpose. Now, in the manufacturing process, they're going to go through, they created the prototype. Did they go through testing it and things like that to make sure that it would stand up to the specifications and wouldn't break down and certain resistance levels and things like that?
Mm-hmm.
That's how most things are created and manufactured. We go through the same thing. We all go through the same thing. But in that, when the final product is completed, that was the purpose for that idea that was birthed to be in existence. It serves a purpose to be able to sterilize brushes in record time, where people can continue to do their job and not have to focus on brushes drying and have to spend a lot of additional money to buy extra brushes so that they can meet their customers' needs. When it comes to us, each and every one of us has a purpose. Now, purpose may not necessarily be awakened on the inside of us yet, and we'll talk a little bit more about some of the things that will give you a clue or indication of what that purpose may be. But nonetheless, God has already predetermined what that purpose is, and there is a set and appointed time for the manifestation of that purpose. But it has to be in accordance to the specifications of what He determined that how you are to function. So excellence from God's perspective is this: when we fulfill our purpose. It's just as simple as that.